They finally showed up to my baby shower empty-handed. No gift, just a $15,000 loan document for my brother's car. Surprise. You're helping your brother, Dad smiled. Be grateful we trust you, Mom added. I just replied, understood. Then pressed cancel on the scheduled payment. 15 minutes later, he answered a call, then shouted, What did you sign? They finally showed up to my baby shower. No heads up. No message. Just walked in 30 minutes late, loud enough to pull all the attention from the games and gifts. My mom wore her best, supportive smile, the kind she rehearses when she's trying to look like a parent, and my dad, as usual, didn't bother with pretending. No gift. Not even flowers. Just a manila envelope my dad pulled out like it was a present. Surprise, he said, placing it in my lap like he expected applause. You're helping your brother. I blinked. He gestured to the document inside, a loan agreement, $15,000. Co-signed in my name. For a car my brother had apparently already driven off the lot. My mom chimed in, touching my shoulder like we were sharing a proud moment. Be grateful we trust you. This is a big deal for him. That's when it hit me. They weren't asking. It was done. Scheduled to process Monday morning. My signature had been forged, or worse, lifted from the times they'd needed help with paperwork before. The room was still buzzing with party chatter, a table of cupcakes untouched, pink decorations swaying under the AC. I just smiled, quietly unlocked my phone beneath the table, opened the banking app, navigated to the pending transaction. Canceled. That was it. 15 minutes later, my brother's phone rang. I watched from across the room as he answered, nodded, then shouted, What did you sign? He looked straight at me. I didn't flinch. Just kept sipping from the plastic flute of sparkling cider my cousin had handed me earlier. He stormed out. My dad followed. My mom stayed long enough to mutter something about how I was making a scene, even though I hadn't moved. But inside, something had. It didn't hit all at once. That would have been merciful. It came in layers, like peeling back rotten wallpaper and realizing the whole wall is molded. That envelope wasn't the first offense. Just the most recent insult on a ledger so long it should have had chapters. Because as I sat there, watching the room pretend nothing had happened, something clicked. This wasn't a one-time overstep. This was routine. A system they'd built, and I'd been the foundation. Quietly. Repeatedly. Foolishly. I thought back to last year. My brother's birthday. I'd covered the dinner. $800 tab at a rooftop steakhouse. I didn't even get a slice of cake. Just a thank you text that auto-corrected my name wrong. Before that, the HVAC replacement at my parents' house, $7,100. We'll pay you back once the taxes hit, my dad had said. The refund came. The repayment never did. The time I spotted my sister $2,000 to get her through a rough patch? She posted new designer boots the same weekend. Tag still on them in the mirror selfie. But I kept giving. Kept swallowing the bile because maybe, just maybe, this time they'd see me. Not as a convenience. Not as a wallet with legs. But as someone who mattered. They never did. At my own baby shower, I was a footnote to a transaction. A host to a humiliation. And still they expected me to smile. And I almost did. I almost let it go again. But then I remembered a memory I hadn't touched in years, sophomore year of college. I'd just come home for the holidays, first time after the accident that changed everything. I was quiet, adjusting, learning how to live differently. At the dinner table, I offered to help with dishes. My hand slipped. A plate shattered. My mom laughed, not out of cruelty, but dismissal. Guess some things you'll just never be good at. My dad? Didn't look up from the TV. My brother whispered, You shouldn't have come back. They thought I didn't hear. But I did. And I remembered. I remember being their afterthought for decades. The strong one, which was code for the one we can ignore because he won't explode. I remembered every time they used, You're so independent, as an excuse to never show up. To never call. To never ask how I was doing. Even when I got pregnant, alone, on my own terms, they never offered help. Never sent a card. Barely acknowledged it. But now? Now I was useful again. Now they needed a signature. A safety net. Now they showed up. With a loan document. No gift. No congratulations. No, how are you holding up? Just a forged line on a contract and a guilt trip about family obligation. And that's when I saw the full shape of the thing. I give. They take. I show up. They left me out. I stay quiet. They assume consent. And it wasn't random. It was trained. Conditioned. Expected. Because every time I let it slide, they built the next insult a little bolder. They didn't just disrespect me. They discounted me. They rewrote the story so thoroughly that they believed it, that I was okay with being used, that I liked it, that my silence was agreement, that my understood meant permission. But I wasn't the helper anymore. I was the product, the infrastructure, the financial institution backing their bad decisions. And the worst part? They weren't ashamed. They were entitled. They believed I owed them. Because I didn't scream. Because I didn't fight. Because I didn't pull away when I should have. But I was done. I saw the pattern now. Every flashback that had haunted me, the canceled invitations, the backhanded compliments, the withheld affection, wasn't a fluke. It was a blueprint. And now that I'd finally read it, I was ready to tear the whole thing down. Not out of vengeance. Out of clarity. They didn't see a sun. They saw a solution. But now, the asset was logging out. And they were about to learn what it felt like to lose their favorite resource. They never taught me boundaries. Only guilt. They raised me on obligation. That twisted brand of love where sacrifice is the only currency and silence is proof of loyalty. But they forgot to teach me what happens when that currency burns out. When the silent one finally starts moving. I moved fast. By midnight, I was in bed, laptop open, earbuds in, maybe monitor app on one screen, banking app on the other. The $15,000 loan had been processed, but not fully withdrawn. They used a shared savings account to legitimize the transaction. An old joint account I'd set up when Dad was between jobs. I left it open out of habit. Their habit of needing help. Big mistake. First step, I froze the account. Second step, I called the credit union, reported the transaction as unauthorized. I knew the system. Worked in systems. I had receipts, timestamps, logins. My name on the account gave me full rights to dispute. By morning, the loan was locked for review. Then came the real cleanup. I opened the financial audit I'd started months ago. A private doc titled Failsafe. A running log of every dollar I'd funneled to my family in the past 5 years. Rent covers. Bailouts. Phone bills. Health premiums. Car repairs. Mortgage overages. Total? $117,000. Not even including the wedding gifts, holiday trips, or emergencies that always seem to happen on 3-day weekends. I started shutting things down like levers in a control room. The car insurance, 6 people under one group policy, mine. I removed them all. Let them get their own coverage at their own risk levels. My brother would be the first to notice when the DMV flagged his expired proof. The streaming accounts, everyone. Gone. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Spotify family. Years of piggybacking off my subscriptions. I deactivated every shared profile. Even the one my dad cheekily named Family CEO. The cloud storage, my mother's entire digital photo archive was hosted under my drive. Thousands of baby photos, scanned albums, the folder labeled Memories. I didn't delete it. I just downloaded it and moved it offline. Left her a note, available on request. Respectfully. The security system, I'd installed it myself. Their smart locks, their alarms, their thermostat. All wired to my business dashboard. Within minutes, I removed admin access and replaced their control app with a default prompt. Please contact your system provider. Let them call customer support. And then, the kill switch. The trust. 3 years ago, I'd started a legal trust for my child, future-oriented, bulletproof. What my family didn't know was that I'd quietly included them as contingent beneficiaries. Not out of love. Out of obligation. Just in case, I told myself. That morning, I rewrote the trust. Removed every one of them. My mother, my father, my brother. Their names vanished with the click of a key. I wasn't their legacy. I was their fallback. Not anymore. At 10:37 a.m., I got the first message. My dad. Hey, bank saying something about the loan. You fixed that. No punctuation. No apology. Just assumption. At 11:02, my mom followed up. They need your signature again, honey. Don't be difficult. That word again. Difficult. The crime of having boundaries. I didn't reply. Instead, I logged into the auto loan system, submitted a fraud report, uploaded a scanned statement, annotated in red. Arrow to the forged signature. Caption, never signed. Never agreed. Under review. At 1:26 p.m., my brother finally called. Didn't leave a voicemail. Just sent a text 5 minutes later. What did you do? I muted the thread. Then I opened my personal document vault. One by one, I exported copies of every agreement I had ever co-signed, supported, or backed. For legal proof. Just in case. I wasn't cutting ties. I was keeping records. Let them explain to a judge why they forged a signature on a financial document tied to a newborn's future. By nightfall, I'd reassigned all access rights to my baby's emergency fund, moved our healthcare proxy to my lawyer, and rerouted every tech service in their home to a third-party vendor. They'd always said I was so organized, like it was a hobby. No, it was self-defense. And now it was offense. The house of cards they built on my silence? Collapse was inevitable. I just removed the last pillar. The best part? I still hadn't said a word to them. No speech. No fight. No drama. Just one quiet message to the loan officer handling the review. If they contact me directly, please escalate. By 9 p.m., my mom called again. Then my dad. Then my brother. I didn't answer. Because this wasn't the conversation phase. This was the consequence phase. I didn't expect an apology. I expected noise. And that's exactly what I got. It started with the group chat, one they hadn't used since Grandma's funeral, suddenly reactivated like it was a family lifeline instead of a landmine. My mother opened the thread with, "We need to talk. This has gone too far." No subject. No salutation. Just panic in Times New Roman. My father followed with, "You've embarrassed us." That loan was a gesture of trust, not betrayal. Then my brother, barely trying to contain his rage. "You made things worse for me. You should probably look into this before it escalates." They weren't ashamed of what they did. They were frustrated that things didn't go as expected. The messages came in floods, voice notes, screenshots, warnings, accusations. I watched it all in silence, standing in my kitchen, bottle feeding my daughter while they melted down on screen. They thought I'd reply. They thought I'd cave. Instead, I took a screenshot of every message, every accusation, and forwarded them to my attorney. No commentary. Just, as discussed. Here's documentation. An hour later, they switched tactics. Phase 2. Pity parade. My mom started sending sad photos. Her crying. A blurry pic of my dad holding his head in his hands. A snapshot of a casserole on the stove with a caption, "We made your favorite. Please come over." They really thought baked pasta could erase fraud. Then came the messages disguised as confession. "We were just trying to help your brother. He's going through a lot. You've always been the stable one. We counted on that. Why can't you just understand how hard it is for us?" But none of it was about what they did. It was about how I responded. Because in their minds, the real betrayal wasn't the unauthorized use of my signature. It was the silence. My refusal to engage broke them in ways no shouting ever could. They prepared for a fight. They weren't ready for the absence. And that's when phase 3 hit. They struggled when others started asking questions. I heard from a coworker first. He forwarded me a message his wife had received from my cousin, who'd clearly been briefed by my mother. "Just so you're aware, there's been some troubling behavior in the family. Anna has been acting out. Legal stuff. We're concerned." My coworker included a note. "Dude, is everything okay?" I smiled. Sent him the full screenshot of the forged loan document, followed by a copy of the dispute case. He replied 30 seconds later, "Never mind. They're insane." But the campaign didn't stop there. They hit Facebook next. A vague post on my mom's page. Sometimes the ones you give the most to end up turning their backs the hardest. "We tried. God knows we tried." Then a barrage of sympathy comments from her knitting friends, her church friends, her bridge club. "You're a saint. Children today don't understand gratitude. You did your best." They had the audacity to write saint after fraud. That night, I sat down and drafted a message. Not to them. To everyone else. A single post, public, polite, and devastating. To those hearing rumors, I canceled a fraudulent auto loan made in my name without my consent. If you need clarity, here's the documentation. And I attached it. Loan copy. Dispute confirmation. My formal email to the lender. A black box over my account number, but every signature visible. I didn't write a caption. I didn't name names. The truth didn't need a villain. It already had proof. Within 24 hours, the narrative started to crumble. 3 cousins liked the post. 2 mutual friends removed comments they'd made on my mother's timeline. One aunt called to say she was deeply ashamed she believed their version. That's when the calls really started. Not messages. Calls. My mom first. I watched the phone ring. She left a voicemail this time. "You think you've won? You're tearing us apart. You're making it hard for everyone. Do you even care?" My dad, 10 minutes later. "You need to delete the post. It's family business. You don't air laundry like this. Family business." That phrase they used like a muzzle. like a shield against consequences. They didn't want resolution. They wanted reversal. They wanted me to pretend it didn't happen again. But the dam had broken, and I wasn't interested in plugging leaks anymore. Then came the final escalation. At 2:17 a.m., I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line. No greeting. Just a PDF attachment labeled loan options _reconsideration alternate terms.pdf. Inside, a revised agreement. My name removed. My brother's signature added. $15,000. A line at the bottom. This supersedes all previous drafts. And a note in plain text. This fixes everything. Now you can take down the post. I stared at it for a full minute. They thought they could clean the crime with an edit. No apology. No ownership. Just a quiet hope I'd go back to being their cleanup crew. Instead, I forwarded the email to the bank representative reviewing the transaction handling my case. Subject line. Attempted cover-up. See attached. I wasn't planning on going public. Not really. I thought forwarding the forged loan to the fraud department, posting the clean receipts, and stepping back would be enough. I thought the lie would choke itself when it ran out of air. But they brought oxygen. They kept stoking the fire, thinking I'd smother it to protect them. They didn't realize I'd stopped protecting anyone. It wasn't rage. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. For years, I kept things quiet. This time, I chose honesty on curated Instagram posts and whispered family narratives on he's difficult and he never lets things go. And for years, I let it stand. Even helped them polish the windows. But not anymore. It started small. A quiet email to the HR rep at the dealership where my brother worked. Hi, I believe a financial document tied to a company loan was forged. The attached PDF includes signatures not authorized by the name listed. I'm submitting this to the lender as fraud but wanted to alert you as well. No commentary. Just facts. Then I sent another email. This time to a client of mine, an account my father once referred to me, whose small firm still ran software under my company's legacy license. Just so you're aware, my family may be attempting to leverage my reputation or name for credit or access. Please direct any requests independently and don't assume association. No bitterness. Just clean detachment. Within a week, I got the first call back. From the dealership. The manager didn't say much. Just asked if I could confirm the date I received the forged document and whether I had a formal dispute in place. I said yes. Sent the full timeline. 3 days later, my brother was placed on administrative leave. Not fired, yet. But the mask had cracked. They thought I wouldn't go this far. That was their mistake. Because I wasn't going anywhere. They came to me. With pressure, emotional manipulation, and false promises. So I responded. Not with rage. With receipts. I took every message, every voicemail, every passive-aggressive post, and archived it. Dated. Indexed. Sorted. Then, I launched a private blog. Not viral. Not dramatic. Just a clean, chronological recounting titled, What Really Happened? A Family Story in Documents. Each post was brief. Entry 1. The baby shower $15,000 auto loan surprise. Entry 2. Forged signature timeline of events. Entry 3. Group text meltdown, screenshots and analysis. Entry 4. The cover-up email. No rage. No commentary. Just facts and PDFs. I didn't even share the link. But someone found it. Because within a week, I started getting messages. Quiet ones. From extended family. From old teachers. From friends of friends. From a girl I hadn't spoken to since high school who messaged. Just read your blog. I had no idea. Respect. That word. Respect. Something my own parents never learned to give without conditions. Then came the tipping point. The blog link somehow landed in my mom's church group chat. I know this because she left me a voicemail I'll never delete. Her voice was shaking, not with sadness. With panic. You need to take it down. People are asking questions. Your uncle called us last night. He said we're a disgrace. What have you done? I hadn't done anything. Just shown the receipts. But for people like them, truth is exposure. And exposure is war. Because in their world, image is everything. They could handle dysfunction, so long as it was private. They could handle pain, so long as it was packaged. But this was naked. And they were terrified. My dad didn't call. He sent an email. One line. I hope you realize you've pushed this family to the edge. I stared at it for a long time. Then replied. I didn't start the fire. I didn't ruin the image. I just stopped covering it. And then I posted that too. Entry 5. The final post. Because that's all it took. I didn't scream. Didn't curse. Didn't beg. I didn't fight them. I just shared the facts. And they couldn't look at it without recoiling. Because the truth wasn't violent. It was inconvenient. And for people who built their lives on curated deception, that was enough to destroy them. They came on a Sunday morning, uninvited, unannounced, just stood on my porch like nothing had happened. My mom wore that forced smile she reserves for manipulation disguised as concern. My dad stayed behind her, arms crossed, like backup she didn't ask for but knew she'd need. I didn't open the door. Just stepped outside and waited. "We want to talk," she started. "You've made your point. Now let us make ours." I said nothing. "You've gone too far," she added. "This has hurt everyone. Some things are better handled privately." My father cut in. "You don't destroy your family over one mistake." That word again, mistake. Forgery. Lies. Manipulation. But to them, just a hiccup. Then came the truth. "We need you," she said. "The loan's frozen. Your brother's gone. We're drowning. Not we miss you. Not we're sorry. Just, we need you." I looked at both of them and finally spoke. "You didn't lose a system. You lost a son." They froze. "You brought a forged contract to my baby shower and called it trust. You built this family on guilt and silence, and I lived in it until now. But I have a daughter, and she will never learn that kind of love." My mother's eyes welled up. "So that's it? You're cutting us off?" I nodded. "You didn't lose dinner. You lost me." I handed her the welcome mat she'd once gifted me, cheap metaphor, but fitting. Then I turned and walked inside. No slamming doors. No final blow. Just silence. And this time, it wasn't mine to carry. It was theirs.